6 p.m. in Tokombere, far north region of the Republic of Cameroon, same time in Douala, Cameroon's economic capital city. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the primetime newscast on Equinoxe television with me. For me, I'm Strong Sander. It is a historic day across the nation Cameroon with a major change at the country's law-making institution, that is the National Assembly. After over 3 decades, Honorable Datu Theodore has been elected House Speaker with over 90% of the vote cast in favor of him and in replacement of long-serving House Speaker Honorable Kavayege Jibril. In this edition of the news, ladies and gentlemen, we'll tell you who Honorable Datu Theodore is. This story and more will be yours. Stay with us. Once again, welcome. Thanks for choosing to be informed by the best of television network. This is Equinoxe. We are broadcasting live from Douala, Cameroon's economic capital city, Equinoxe Center News Desk. This is the primetime newscast. We're starting with our top story. The official program or itinerary of Pope Leo XIV visit to the nation Cameroon has been made public by the Vatican Press Office. The Pope will arrive Cameroon through the Yaoundé-Simalène International Airport on Wednesday, April the 16th, 2026. He will later visit the cities of Douala and Bamenda, where he is expected by a mass of Catholic faithfuls, but also Cameroonians from across the board. We have details on just what the Pope will be doing in Cameroon while visiting in this report, compiled by staff lady Annabella.
During his papal visit to Cameroon, Pope Leo XIV will arrive the country via the Simalène International Airport in Yaoundé at 3:20 p.m. The Holy Father will then pay a brief courtesy visit to the Unity Palace, meet with diplomatic corps and other local authorities at the Congress Hall. Pope Leo will later visit the Nguru Zamba orphanage by 5:45 p.m. and also meet with bishops in a private gathering at the National Episcopal Conference that will be at the end of day 1 of the Holy Father's visit to Cameroon. On day 2, that will be Thursday, April 16, the Pope will visit the troubled northwest region, which has been in conflict for several years now. His arrival in Bamenda through the Bamenda airport is scheduled for 11 a.m. The Pope will meet with the Christian community and later celebrate Mass at the St. Joseph Metropolitan Cathedral by 3 p.m. in Bamenda. At 5:25 p.m., the Holy Father will leave from the northwest region to Yaoundé to prepare for the next stop, which will be Douala. And on Friday, April 17, His Holiness Pope Leo will be in Douala. He arrives at the Douala International Airport at 9:55 a.m. While in Douala, the Pope will say Mass at the Japoma Stadium. From Japoma, the Holy Father moves directly to the St. Paul Catholic Hospital in Ilom, Brazzaville at 1 p.m. By 2 p.m., Pope Leo leaves Douala back to Yaoundé. From there, he will be leaving Cameroon. That would be on Saturday. On Saturday, April 18, the day of his departure from the country, the Holy Father Pope Leo will celebrate a Pontifical Mass at the air base in Van. The historic visit of Pope Leo XIV closes at 12:30 p.m. on Saturday when he leaves Cameroon, that will be via the Simalène International Airport. And preparations are upbeat in the Yaoundé, Douala and Bamenda archdioceses to give the Holy Father a befitting welcome in Cameroon.
And the Pope's visit is expected to bring hope not only to the Catholic family, but to the nation Cameroon, especially those caught up in the conflict-stricken regions of the northwest and southwest regions. Remember, we told you yesterday that a Catholic cardinal is calling on Cameroonian authorities to give Pope Leo the opportunity to mediate in the over 10-year-long armed conflicts in the Anglophone regions. Now, we're staying in this region to talk about a hopeless lady, a widow in her 60s in the Abango neighborhood of the northwest regional capital, Bamenda, who's now been left homeless after some individuals forcefully removed the roof of her house on March the 18th, 2026. Now exposed to the harsh realities of the rainy season, she has taken refuge in a corner of a church auditorium in Bamenda, sleeping on a piece of foam with her belongings soaked and her safety uncertain. She is crying with crying for help from individuals, indicating that those arrested by the police have been let go and they are threatening her life. Bustela has more on this shocking story from Bamenda.
I will leave am so do now what I go to don't do me wonder. And you don't do me wonder.
In Abango, a neighborhood in Bamenda, the commemoration of the 41st International Women's Day took a painful turn for this woman in her 60s. Some individuals stormed her home, removing the roof of her house on March 8th, the very day meant to celebrate women's strength and dignity. She is now left without a roof over her head.
You been for Sunday, then come crime for autopsy.
I was in my kitchen on a Sunday when the individuals came and removed the roof. I asked them why, and they say they want me to leave the house.
Move am so. He say he move and say back come on for the house.
This is an orphan I live with. We have nowhere to go to.
They manage for the house. We no get no place to go.
Since then, this corner of this church auditorium is now her home.
Now all my things show where they don't come make them rainfall for them. Now why don't come put this place for city for them? Now only for this church.
These are all my property that has been soaked by rain.
I just no me place where I can go Cameroon. Hey. I don't know when I me.
According to her, the attack is linked to a dispute within factions of the True Church of God. She says she refused to join a group her late husband was never part of, a decision she believes led to the destruction of her home. This video shows that police intervened on the day of the incident, arresting some individuals caught unroofing the house. Just a day later, the widow claims the threats continued as the arrested individuals came back threatening.
When talk say they don't call them for defense, I say they move them.
With all of this they did, they were released the same day. Cameroon is so corrupt. They almost killed me the day they came.
They fit kill me for that day.
With the rainy season intensifying in Bamenda, her belongings remain soaked, her safety uncertain, and her future unclear.
I live through sorrow.
I now live in sorrow and torment. Even the little I have, I ate in peace.
I be shudon inside peace.
As the world marks women's resilience and rights this March, her story raises urgent questions about protection, justice, and dignity, especially for vulnerable women caught in conflict and community disputes.
And Bamenda, where Publio is expected to visit while in Cameroon, is facing a disturbing access to potable drinking water, access to clean water that has become an exhausting and sometimes risky daily task for most residents of the city. Before dawn, long lines of buckets and jerry cans form around wells and boreholes as people scramble to secure water for their families, with pipelines destroyed as road constructions are being undergone or are being overseen across the city of Bamenda. Many households now are depending on this world with water of doubtful sources. They are calling on authorities to find a lasting solution. We have their worries compiled by Mbustela from Bamenda.
In the city of Bamenda, the search for water begins before sunrise. By 5 a.m., residents quietly line up buckets and jerry cans at public and private boreholes, hoping to secure a few liters before supplies run out. For many families, it has become a daily routine in a city where taps have largely run dry.
I come out since 5 o'clock. Now, me this to go back with empty containers then.
I came here since 5 a.m. and I've succeeded to have just one container filled. My children and I are going home empty-handed.
As when I'm picking that they go back for house empty. So
those who have patients in the houses that they cannot do without water, they are suffering. At times they go As they start to carry, where they are carrying water, the water will get finished from there. They had to look for another place again to go.
At this private well in the Old Town neighborhood, water is pumped from deep underground. Many residents now depend entirely on wells like this one. In several neighborhoods, residents scrambled over visibly colored water, raising concerns about its safety.
The water carry even stream water the way not the clean.
We now fetch water from streams of doubtful sources. How then can we not be sick?
Get a problem there for Bamenda.
Residents link the worsening shortage to major reconstruction projects in the city, including the ongoing Bamenda urban crossing works. Despite the infrastructure development, many say authorities have failed to repair damaged pipelines or provide alternative water supply.
And we are pleading that even as the work is going on, those taps that have been disconnected, let them remember where it has been disconnected so that before the real work comes, it will still get a proper connection.
Women and children now spend hours each day searching for water. This woman is among many living empty-handed today.
I don't get no option again.
I have no other option than to wait. No other person has water that we can go and beg.
We don't know how we could live. No option, no day again.
In Bamenda, residents say road development should not come at the cost of basic survival. For now, each morning begins with long lines of containers and a race to get water before it runs out.
Disturbing. And now from Bamenda in the northwest to the southwest region, but to the Kupe Maningoba division, the natives of Melongo village say that they want peace and development in their locality rather than spending huge sums of money for court cases and bills. It was in the course of a peaceful protest staged by the local inhabitants of Melongo village during the visit of the brigade commander of the Gendarmerie Brigade of Tombel in the Kupe Maningoba division to their locality. The visit was also an opportunity for the local villagers to ask for development assistance from the Tombel Council, as Smart Njikan Gabriel tells us in the following report.
With placards that read, "Our money is meant for development and not for court cases," the opposition is playing a double-edged sword role. Yesterday they were for Amber, today they are for the government and a host of others. The natives of Melongo village on the Tombel subdivision staged a peaceful protest as they welcomed the brigade commander of Tombel.
There is a faction, there is a particular number of boys who came from Bunye and they are living in Melongo land because of this crisis. Their houses, the parents' houses were burnt in Bunye, so they came and stayed in Melongo. And since they came here, we have never known. These boys have been taking the administration of Chief Ebako and his collaborators to either amber camps, from one amber camp to another. And today, because we have fought a lot to suppress the amber, they have resorted into taking us from one administrative unit or from one force of law and order to another.
The security official who was coming to Melongo for the first time came for a fact-finding mission owing to the fact that his office has often received cases from the village. Unfortunately, the image he had was different from what he saw on his visit to Melongo. It was an opportunity for the people of Melongo to air their frustrations about the numerous court cases and bail, which is at the detriment to their development.
Each time we have some little money for development, they bring convocations against us for allegations which are very, very unfounded. So we go to Tombe, we spend the money and come back. So these guys don't want us to do any reasonable development in the village. They are a thorn to the flesh of the people of Melongo. That's why today we had to do this uprising to show proof that we are not contented, we are tired, we are fed up. So we wanted to show the gendarmes that came here today that the people of Melongo don't want anybody to condone with the activities of these boys, so that there should be peace, there should be progress and development in this village.
Getting to Melongo village is also a nightmare due to the poor road network. The natives of Melongo village are now begging on the Tombel Council and the government to come to their rescue.
From the southwest to the west region of Cameroon, particularly to Bazo, that in the Day division to safeguard the traditional enthronement of a fund that is a third-class traditional ruler turned Sarah after the state representative, that is the Dio for the locality, saw what he qualified as disrespect from the local villagers. He said the local villagers did not respect the state protocol and went ahead to disrespect his personality, a situation that disrupted a well-planned ceremony, as Sadiq Takutu tells us in the following report.
Il n'y a pas de chef ici. Quelle est cette histoire? Je ne peux pas être assis. Quand je suis arrivé, est-ce que ces populations sont aidées? Non. Rasseyez-vous.
A heated controversy has erupted in Bazou subdivision, the division of the West region, following an incident during the enthronement ceremony of the third-degree chief of Tunse. The cause of the outcry was the tone of the divisional officer upon the arrival of the paramount chief of Bazou, His Majesty Happy Trois Marcelin, an episode that deeply shocked many.
Les fils Bazou de l'intérieur, tout comme ceux de la diaspora, ont appris avec stupéfaction.
According to Barrister Lojo, an elite of the Bazou community, the incident occurred as the paramount chief of Bazou entered the ceremony site, accompanied by a large delegation of at least 7 other dignitaries.
Roi de Bazou, Sa Majesté Trois Happy Marcelin, et nous pensons que c'est une attitude que nous trouvons inappropriée.
This is decried by some observers.
Lorsqu'on écume les dispositions pertinentes du décret de 1977 qui organise les chefferies au Cameroun,
according to Louison et Somba, when one reads the relevant provisions of the 1977 decree that organizes chieftaincies in Cameroon, it is noted that the traditional chieftaincy is the smallest administrative unit.
On ne peut pas se mettre au-dessus de l'autorité administrative. Cela signifie que lors d'une cérémonie publique ou lors d'une cérémonie solennelle,
he adds that the traditional chief is considered as an auxiliary to the administration, and based on this explanation, the traditional chief cannot place himself above the administrative authority.
Chefferie traditionnelle. Or, la chefferie traditionnelle est la plus petite unité administrative.
This, he says, means that during a public ceremony, the chief cannot arrive after the divisional officer. This would call into question the institution, which is the state.
Le ton corrosif de l'autorité administrative, mais il fait valoir l'autorité de l'État.
He, however, argues that the divisional officer in his rank would have reacted differently, thus avoiding tensions.
Un autre sous-préfet manager aurait pu calmement inviter le sous-préfet dans ses locaux.
Another could have calmly invited the chief in his office and discussed, but he did not proceed in this way, and it is perhaps this behavior that angered the population.
Éruptif et corrosif qui a certainement suscité la tension des populations de Bazou, parce qu'ils estiment quand même que le sous-préfet a infantilisé leur chef traditionnel.
Beyond this incident, the episode brings back the debate on the delicate coexistence between administrative authorities and traditional leaders, two institutions called upon to work together to preserve stability and social cohesion. In Bazou, the matter continues to fuel public discussions between indignation and calls for calm.
We told you in our top stories that today marks a historic day across the nation, Cameroon, particularly within the nation's legislative arm, with the election of a new House Speaker replacing long-serving House Speaker Honorable Kavayege Jibrina Chiodo Dachu, Right Honorable Chiodo Datu, who is the new Speaker of Cameroon's National Assembly. His election today at the Glass House in the Ngwakele neighborhoods of the nation's political capital city, Yaoundé, marks the end of close to 4 decades of Honorable Kavayege Jibril. In the following report, our reporter Malaglory takes us to who is the new House Speaker of Cameroon's lower house of parliament.
Born in 1916, Bangu, Upper Plateau of the West region of Cameroon,
Honorable Theodore Datu has served as Vice President of the National Assembly for several years, appearing in this role as early as 2016 and throughout the 2019 to 2025 period, and was notably the head of the committee supervising the construction of the new National Assembly building. He has actively advocated for judicial and infrastructure improvement in his home division, such as the construction of the law court in Baham. He is the CPDM Member of Parliament for the Upper Plateau West region. He served as the President of Cameroon-China Parliamentary Friendship Group, frequently receiving China's diplomats to strengthen bilateral cooperation in economic and technological sectors. As an economic operator and experienced politician, Theodore Datu is a Member of Parliament who will henceforth be leading the National Assembly as its new president.
And on to something else, a crackdown on indiscipline within the Cameroon's police force. The Delegate General for National Security, Martin Bagangele, has issued a strong-worded circular calling out what he describes as growing excesses among police officers in Cameroon, from non-regulation uniforms, flashy appearance, to reckless behavior on social media, extravagant hairstyles, unauthorized badges, piercing, and even ankles are now seen as ways and outfits identifying police officers across Cameroon. Unacceptable, according to his circular. Innocent as a has more.
In the circular signed on March 13, the Delegate General for National Security, Martin Bagangele, denounces what he describes as the growing trend of officers appearing in non-regulation uniforms, wearing unauthorized insignia, extravagant hairstyles, and accessories such as piercings and anklets. The document also raises concern over the increasing exposure of police officers on social media, often in uniform, where some are accused of making ambiguous or sensitive public statements. Martin Bagangele says such behavior undermines the image of the police and violates the principles of discipline, neutrality, and professional ethics. The police boss strictly prohibits police officers from making media appearances or social media posts in uniform without prior authorization. He also bans public commentary on issues considered sensitive to national interest. In addition, the misuse of digital platforms leading to the leakage of confidential or classified documents has been highlighted as a major concern. Offenders risk facing disciplinary action before the National Security Disciplinary Council alongside possible legal proceedings. The police hierarchy has now instructed all unit heads across the country to enforce these measures and ensure strict compliance within their ranks. This latest move signals a renewed crackdown on misconduct as authorities seek to restore discipline and professionalism within Cameroon's police force.
And on to politics, the African Movement for New Independence and Democracy, the Manidem political party in Cameroon, has announced that it rejects any involvement of Cameroonian state authorities in the organization of the funeral of its President Anissé Kane, who died in custody in Yaoundé. In a statement published on March 16, 2026, the party said that it had been contacted by authorities in Cameroon, but emphasized that no place is reserved for the government during the funeral ceremony of Anissé Kane. Babila Jonathan spoke to Manidem party's officials and compiled the following report.
Release from the African Movement for New Independence and Democracy, better known by its French language acronym Manidem, states that the party rejects any involvement of Cameroonian government authorities in the organization of the funeral of freedom fighter Anissé Kane. The document also indicates that no contribution of any kind from any government authority will be accepted.
The Manidem party has realized that many authorities from Yaoundé are trying to visit Manidem and the family in order to pay their homage to President Kane. And we believe that a Kane and what happened to a Kane Anissé also was happened thanks to the will of the government of Cameroon. So our reaction is due to that we want to call for these authorities that they are not welcome at the funeral of Anise Ekane. So we are also calling militants of Manile and any other officials that no contribution from the government will be accepted for this funeral. So I want to take the opinion, national opinion, and to make them be aware of that no contribution coming from the government will be accepted.
Manidem says it intends to organize the funeral of its leader in complete independence. It also warns that anyone acting in its name in contradiction to this position will be publicly denounced.
I will be hearing people asking if this conclusion has been made with the help of the go-ahead of the family. And if you can realize that none of the family members has accepted to speak about it, it means that they agree with the communique, with the declaration that has been made by Manide. In other hand, if the people of Yaoundé decided that because they believe that they have forced, they can attend the funeral, then as you know, we'll make sure that the will of President Akane being respected.
In the statement signed by the movement's Vice President, Valentin Dormo-Fils, the political bureau of the party adds that it will expose any initiatives seeking to associate government authorities with the organization of the funeral of its president. Political figure and president of Manidem, Anise Ekane, died December 1, 2025 in police custody.
And that's all from Douala and across the nation, Cameroon. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks immensely for your keen attention. We urge you to stay in the company of interesting programs on your #1 television network, Equinoxe, across the Central African sub-region. Now, our next edition of News, it should be noted, will be up at 8 p.m. That will be in the French language. As for me, check the rendezvous for tomorrow, same time, on same platform. Goodbye.